What's going on, everybody? This is KJ, and I'm here with my ISL Season 3 Week 9 Team Builder versus Scamp. So, Scamp has a very scary team. He is currently top of the division at 6-2 with a plus 18 differential. So, very good coach. We've played Scamp in the past in two different leagues. One of them was able to win 1-0, and the other one got 3-0'd. So we've had some good games against Scamp, and I expect. Or we actually played him 3 times. We played him in ISL Season 2 as well. I think that was a 1-0 or a 2-0. But yeah. So anyway, Scamp, very good player. It's always a fun match when I get to play him, and he is gonna be really exciting to play him. So let's get into his team, and then I can kind of go from there. So, Scamp has a team of Mega Garchomp, Melmetal, Breloom, Zoroark, Mesprit, Sandaconda, Ninjask, Rotom Heat, Hatterene, Chansey, and Toxicroak. So, right away, I look at the Rotom Heat and I think, wow, I have a terrible matchup against this thing. And I think that's the case whenever I do a draft. It seems like I always have a problem with Rotom Heat. But I think we have a little bit more answers than usual. I know, like, if anybody that has heard me talk about like past TBA seasons or anything like that, I faced 3 Rotom Heats and just I won all 3 games, but it was a nightmare to prep for them because my team just outright lost to offensive Rotom Heat. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, so his team is very scary. He's done a lot of work with Melmetal. He's done a lot of work with Mega Garchomp. Breloom is a huge threat with Spore and like sub-focus punches. Hatterene with the ability to set Trick Room. And speed passing is allowed, so Ninjask could be a huge headache as well. So that's just a couple things to think about and leave in the back of our head when looking at this team. So let's get into the team. The first mon that I put on this team immediately was Victini. I think Victini has an incredible matchup here. He doesn't have many switch-ins to Choice Band V-Create, especially in the sun. So Victini puts in a ton of work. It has some bulk, so it can live a little bit of hits. Does have enough speed to outspeed the Mega Garchomp, because that was sort of the benchmark here with his mons that are his mons that are over base 100 speed are Ninjask and the Zoroark. So I thought being able to speed creep the Garchomp was probably ideal, and then having a little bit more bulk is good. And so probably wondering why I'm running Blue Flare and Glaciate. So Glaciate, even with a Jolly Nature, is still a 2-hit KO on some Garchomp variants, so that's really good. And Blue Flare is so that I can still use the Sun and use a Fire move without having to worry about the special defense, and speed drops that the V-Create give me. So most of the time I would want to click V-Create, but in the game I'll be calculating to see if Blue Flare does enough, and if I want to potentially risk the chance of missing, but also potentially go for the chance of getting a burn. So that's kind of the reasoning behind running a couple of special moves, even though we're banded. Okay, next mon got pretty standard Torkoal, max HP, max defense, rapid spin just in case he decides to bring rocks. I have good hazard control, but rocks might be something that he wants to prioritize, so we'll see that. We have rocks of our own because rocks really tilt some calcs into our favor, especially with some of the mons that I'm bringing that you'll see later on. Will-O-Wisp, because he has a couple of very, very good physical mons, and if they get burned, they're not too happy about it. Like Melmetal, Mega Garchomp, even something like Sandaconda doesn't really want to get burned, especially because I have Sun, so he's probably not going to run Shed Shell. If he does, then like we don't have to worry about him resetting the weather at all. And even Breloom as well. Breloom does not want to get burned because the Toxic Heal is pretty big for it. So those mons definitely don't want to get burned, and it would be very, very good for us to get a burn on those. And the last move is just Lava Plume, and that's basically just to have fire coverage and be able to hit things. He does not have a water type, so that's really good. And if he does potentially risk the chance of getting burned, then I'm okay with that. So the next mon we got is the Alolan Muck. Running AV again, but this time running a more offensive AV. Knockoff is good for just about everything on his team. If we can knock off the Eviolite on the Chansey, that would be incredible. Do have Ice Punch for potential Garchomp switch-ins. Also have Rock Slide for a potential Rotom Heat. And the last move is Poison Jab, which does a ton of damage to both Hatterene and to Breloom. So that's good. I think in most cases, if I predict a Melmetal switch-in or a if I predict a Melmetal switch-in, I'm clicking Knockoff every time. If I expect that there could be a Garchomp switch-in and something is in front of me that isn't really threatening, then I could click Ice Punch. But all in all, I think Knockoff is going to be sort of the move that I want to hit the most, or just because knocking some of the items off on some of these mons will help set up things for Victini and other things. So, yeah. Next mon we got is the Specs Tinted Lens Yanmega. So, this thing hits incredibly hard with the combination of Bug Buzz and Air Slash. The Giga Drain is there mostly for the Sandaconda, because that would be pretty helpful. But yeah, everything pretty much is a 2-hit KO, except for... Everything gets 2-hit KO'd by either Bug Buzz or Air Slash, except for Chansey. So if I can get rid of Chansey, or really chip it, then Yanmega can kind of just come in and start pushing buttons, and that's kind of just what it does. So hoping that I can really get some attacks off with this thing and really start to chip his team. The next mon, I want to go back to Yanmega just for a second. So we are again speed creeping for the Mega Garchomp. So just a note. So 312, that's sort of the benchmark. So now for the 5th mon, we have the Mega Gallade. So this Mega Gallade is EV'd to speed creep Zoroark. This thing is EV'd to outspeed Zoroark by 1 or by 2. So there's that. That's going to be pretty huge because Zoroark could potentially cause this team problems. We've got Knockoff, Ice Punch, and Close Combat, and those 3 moves, especially at +2, hit his team incredibly hard. So I think that's kind of just the 3 moves that I need. I considered a subset, but I thought that Swords Dance would be better, especially because Melmetal can go through the subs with Double Iron Bash, so that kind of seemed like a useless idea. And yeah, if I can set a Swords Dance up on something and start clicking Close Combat or Knockoff or Ice Punch, then I think Gallade will just start picking up kills. So yeah, and then the last mon we got here is the Vaporeon. So we're running a little bit more of an offensive Vaporeon. It's still, in terms of moveset, it's still physically defensive because it's a very good switch in to both Garchomp and to Melmetal. But it is more offensive in the moveset because Scald burns are going to hurt his team, and Scald also hits a potential Rotom Heat switch in. Ice Beam is hitting the 2 ground types, and Scald is also hitting the Sandaconda, but Ice Beam is hitting the 2 ground types, especially the Mega Garchomp, and then teching Weather Ball here. So Weather Ball is pretty interesting because if I had Sunset and he brings in Breloom or he brings in Melmetal, Weather Ball is significantly chunking both of those mons. It's doing like 70 to 83% to the Melmetal if it's standard like banded set. And it's still a 2-hit KO against like AV Melmetal, so that's really good. And then the assuming it's like AV and still investing in attack and stuff. And then the other thing it does is if he is a Sandspit Sandaconda, this gives me rock type coverage for things like Ninjask or things like the Rotom Heat. So if he's expecting that I have some kind of water coverage, or if he has like a water resist berry or something weird like that, then I still hit with a rock type move. And on top of that, if he decides to bring rain for the Toxicroak for dry skin, then I'm also getting a boosted Weather Ball in the rain. So I think Weather Ball, very good tech here. I was talking to some people about it and thought, oh, this seems like it'd be a pretty good idea. So yeah, so this is the team. I do play him pretty shortly, so I'll be back for the post game, and yeah, hopefully you can get at this dub. All right, peace. Okay, so we are here with the post-game recap versus Scamp. I'll run through kind of what I was thinking. So just looking at his team, he brought the Hatterene, he brought the Melmetal, he brought the Garchomp. Toxicroak is a little bit of a problem. Rotom, as everyone knows, Rotom Heat is a pain for every team I draft, and then he brings the Zoroark. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, lead Torkoal, and if he leads something like Melmetal, then he's probably going to switch out. If he leads the Toxicroak, then yeah. So I felt like Torkoal was the safest lead here. I also considered the Vaporeon lead, but if he led Rotom, then things would have been really bad. So I wanted to make sure that sort of covered the most leads as possible. And so that was my justification for going with the Torkoal here. So yeah, let's just get into the match. So let's see this. So I lead Torkoal, and he leads the Garchomp. And so I knew it was Mega Garchomp. I thought, okay, I'll switch into Vaporeon here. It's probably the safest play, especially if he's mixed. And he actually goes for the Swords Dance. So I was thinking, all right, I did the calcs, and as long as... I figured I have Coco, so he's probably going to be Dragon Claw. And Dragon Claw didn't kill from this range from the calc that I ran. But he's actually Outrage, so this always OHKOs. Which was really unfortunate because I really needed the Vaporeon there, and that was going to be an Ice Beam. So I am thinking, wow, I kind of just lose here. But yeah, I wanted to go into Gallade. I knew I was faster, and I knew Ice Punch had a pretty good shot to kill. Unfortunately, as you're about to see, he lived on 2. So I actually, after talking to him later in the game, he calced for that. I did not think Mega Garchomp would be able to survive there. But I think in hindsight, I probably should have brought Yanmega in, chipped it, and then went for the Ice Punch with the Gallade. But I honestly did not think that... I just I underestimated the bulk on Garchomp. So here I go into Victini, I click U-turn, which makes the most sense because I can just kind of clean up, get the kill there. And I've now lost my Melmetal switch in or my Melmetal counter. I wouldn't say switch in because like Vaporeon with Weather Ball was very huge, and it was able to live pretty much anything from Melmetal. And I also lost arguably the best mon on my team for this matchup other than the Victini. So he Toxics my Torkoal, and I just want to get rocks up because I can check to see what kind of damage that the Zoroark is taking if there's rocks damage. So I suppose because I really felt like he was going to try to disguise Melmetal with Zoroark. And yeah, so after I get rocks in, I did see that he is Defog, so that's a little unfortunate. I was hoping that he wasn't Defog here, but he was. So we don't really get rocks up there. And in hindsight, I wish I had a way on Torkoal to hit the Rotom Heat, because that would have been able to help me pressure rocks a little more. But again, that was sort of just this was all very good prep on Scamp's part. Like evening the Garchomp to live the Ice Punch, I was shocked. I did not think that Mega Garchomp would be able to live an Ice Punch from a Gallade. But yeah, so he just Volt Switches out here. I knocked off the boots, so that's good. And he goes into Melmetal. And so I do get the knockoff off, which is huge, because the knockoff is Choice Band. And now I know that he isn't going to Oko the Torkoal. And I knew that Torkoal was sort of here and needed to set the sun, because Victini in the sun was the only way for me to actually like win this match, in my opinion. Especially at this point, like Victini and Sun plus Yanmega trying to like clean things up. I still needed to worry about the Toxicroak and the Zoroark because those things were obviously faster, but everything else, like I needed to position Victini so that when I start clicking V-Create or even Blue Flare, that I'm picking up kills. And so I bring Victini in, and also in hindsight, I wish I would have went with a different physical fire move rather than Blue Flare, because the problem was that Blue Flare on switch in, this didn't kill the Rotom, so I had to click V-Create here. And what that allowed him to do is come in with a different mon here, whether it's Zoroark or Toxicroak or whatever. So I here was thinking that he was Sucker Punch, and he clicks Knockoff, which was good. I was really surprised. I expected him to be Sucker Punch just because he has Hatterene, so I wasn't expecting him to be Scarf or anything like that. And at here, I'm thinking, okay, Scarf Toxicroak kind of just wins. And in hindsight, I probably should have sacked Muck there, but that's fine. He does knock the specs off Yanmega, and I do hit the Air Slash, and it does confirm that he's actually Zoroark. So I got scamped, which I was trying to avoid. But yeah, and with that damage, I realized that he was banded. So he's banded Zoroark, and yeah, you can see in the chat he says you got scamped. That's fine, or you can't see it, but in the chat he says you got scamped. And yeah, so it's pretty huge. I wish I would have preserved Victini because it was my win condition, and went into Muck and then came back in with Yanmega and not given him the free percentage, and I might have had a better shot to win, especially because Yanmega could have potentially, like, had I went into Muck, he did the knockoff, I would have been able to calc it on the I would have been able to calc the Zoroark and realize that it was banded, because it would have either been banded Zoroark or banded Toxicroak. But instead, I let Victini die and then switched into Yanmega and let that die as well. Great game to Scamp. I think I could have played better, especially around the Garchomp. I almost clicked Will-O-Wisp on the Garchomp, and I was just thinking, there's no way he brings Outrage. Well, sure enough, he had Outrage and Dragon Claw, which is insane in my opinion. Like, he was Outrage, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Swords Dance on the Garchomp. I was really worried about Special Chomp, especially because I knew that with the or not even Special Chomp, Mixed Chomp. I expected Mixed Chomp, not gonna lie. But yeah, so take a very big 4-0 loss. That's pretty huge for our playoff hopes. Right now, I think we're in 8th in the standings, so gonna need 8th or 9th. Gonna need some big losses from a couple of different coaches to make sure that we get into the playoffs. And also, we have to win next week. And unfortunately, the coach that we were, well, I guess not unfortunately, because you never want a super easy match, but the coach that was originally in the league, who everyone kind of looked at as sort of the easy match or whatever, he dropped out, and Rick, who, if you follow any of my content, you'll know, like, he's a co-admin with me in the new Wi-Fi league that we started, UGL, and he's also just a friend of mine that I've been building with and have been sort of playing draft with for the last few months. He actually picked up the team, so he is here to play spoiler. Because if we lose to Rick, then playoffs are completely out of question. If we beat Rick, then we just need a little bit of help. I think there's three other teams. I think there's three teams fighting for two spots, if I remember correctly. So I think it's me, Zanku, First Night Don't Count, and M. Rogers. And so basically just trying to win and then hope that two of the three of them lose their matches this week. So, yeah, that is going to be it. We will sort of see what happens from here. Uh, Regardless, I will be coming out with like a season recap. Probably sometime late next week. Just because I have games and I'm also like on call for work and different things. So, yeah, but regardless of whether or not the season ends this week or we make the playoffs, thank you everybody for following along for my ISL Season 3 content. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them on this video and I will answer as soon as possible. And yeah, if you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I think that's it. I'll be back next week for the Week 10 recap, Teambuilder and recap against Rick. All right, thanks everybody. Peace.